Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Siti Haja binti Kamarudin and my partner is Adriana Natasha binti Amiruddin. So today we will be presenting about international trade. What is international trade? Classical economists Adam Smith and David Ricardo held that international trade occurs due to differences in cost. Smith emphasized absolute cost differences, while Ricardo showed that a comparative cost advantage would lead to an exchange of goods between two countries. International trade is essential because it increases world production and gives consumers a greater variety of products.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Adriana Natasha binti Amiruddin. Today I'm going to continue present differences between international trade and domestic trade. First is immobility of factors of production. Labours are free to move within the country but are immobile between countries. This is due to financial constraints, language barrier and cultural differences. Second is availability of natural resources. Different countries are differently gifted with production of different commodities because they have a diverse supply of productive factors. For example, Malaysia can produce palm oil and rubber due to the availability of natural resources, whereas China can produce cotton. Third is monetary unit or currencies. When trade occurs in the country, for example, in Malaysia, all transaction will be in ringgit Malaysia. However, in international trade, the monetary units or currencies used are different. Every country's currency varies in value. Fourth is national policies. In domestic trade, rules relating to taxation, labor standard, education and legislation will be the same in each country. In the case of international trade, there will be vast difference in the laws of different countries. Lastly is documentation. International trade involves greater documentation compared to trade. For example of a documentation that exists in international trade are important and export license, travelers checks, bills of exchange and many more. Next is advantages of international trade. First, increased world output. World output increases through specialization and international trade. Second is variety of goods and services. A variety of goods and services are made available for consumption by consumer of a country. Consumers get to enjoy some goods that cannot be produced in their own country due to geographical or other reasons. Third is better relationship between trading partners. The relationship between trading partners can be enhanced, for example, via trade fairs, economic cooperation, and cultural exchanges. Fourth is higher income and economic growth. International trade can generate more income. If more goods are exported by a country, the income generated from the export can boost the country's economic growth. Lastly is share knowledge and technology. International trade encourages the sharing of knowledge, information and technology among countries. Next is disadvantages of international trade. First, depletion of country reserve. A country will specialize in the production of goods over which has comparative advantage. However, continuous export of raw materials can deplete the country reserve in the long run. For example, excessive export of oil by Malaysia deplete its oil reserve. Second is economic and political dependence. International trade may cause economic and political dependence between countries. This could prove disastrous, especially if the political relationship between the trading partners fall apart. Lastly is transportation costs. The assumption in comparative advantage is that no transportation costs are incurred, but if the transportation costs are too high, then international trade will not be profitable venue for some countries.
What is absolute advantage theory? According to Smith, trade between two countries occurs if one of them has an absolute advantage in producing a product, while the other has an absolute cost advantage in producing another product. Absolute advantage refers to the ability of a country to produce a product more efficiently than another country. Several underlying assumptions in the absolute advantage theory are: the first one is there are only two countries in the world. Second is only two goods are produced. Third is free trade exists between these two countries. Fourth is no transportation costs are involved. Fifth is production is under the law of constant cost. Sixth is identical production function between trading countries. From the table, it can be seen that Malaysia has an absolute advantage in producing rice, while China has an absolute advantage in producing cotton. Since both countries have mutual absolute advantage in the production of rice and cotton, specialization can take place, where Malaysia can channel all its resources to rice production, while China can channel all its resources to cotton production. Clearly, the total world output has increased with specialization, where the amount of cotton and rice produced has doubled. With specialization, both countries are able to trade with each other in order to consume the two products. Both Malaysia and China are better off with more products after international trade takes place. However, what happens if a country has an absolute advantage over both products? Will international trade be necessary then, or how would the two countries specialize? To overcome this problem, Ricardo developed a theory commonly referred to as the comparative advantage theory. Comparative advantage refers to the ability of one country to produce goods at a lower cost than another country. Opportunity cost is the cost of the desired goods that has to be foregone to obtain another commodity. This is the comparative advantage theory for the production before specialization, where to determine which country is to specialize in cotton or rice, the opportunity cost of production must be calculated. This is the calculation of opportunity cost for production after international trade. In terms of rice, China has to give up 2 tons of cotton compared to Malaysia, which has to give up 6 tons of cotton. This means that China can produce rice at a lower opportunity cost. After specialization in the production of their respective products, the two countries must decide on their terms of trade. What is terms of trade? Terms of trade refers to the rate at which goods are exchanged. In other words, terms of trade is the amount of a commodity that needs to be foregone to obtain another commodity. If the average price of export and import are obtained, the terms of trade can be measured as the ratio of export price to import price as follows. That's all from us. Thank you.